One of the big takeaways that I got this year compared to last year was that last year everyone was like, we're in survival mode. But since last year to this year, we've already seen so many battles won, and we see the changes that's ongoing, and we see a lot more collaboration, and we see a lot more partnerships.
Emily was my clinical professor when I was in law school, so she was the first real immigration case I ever had. And then since then, we both opened our own practices, but we still collaborate now as colleagues on extra crazy cases.
So many of us have had to be creative in different spaces, be it with USCIS, dipping into federal litigation where we haven't before, Megan increasing the volume in some ways in her mandamus practice, so needing to push cases forward via the federal courts. So being in these spaces and hearing what your colleagues are working on sparks kind of thoughts in your head about what we can do together next and how we could use maybe Megan's sample or Megan's skill to consult with me, things I might know more than Megan, I can now support her. And it's also an amazing time to connect with people you've known peripherally through coalitions nationally who are expert in things that you're dipping your toes into as well. So I love that part, even though we like to absorb the CLEs and content, also just absorbing information from each other. You can't get that in any other space.
Yeah, there's so much cross knowledge between different practitioners and different size firms and different topics, right? That's one of the best things about AILA is that everyone is willing to share their knowledge. Everyone's giving brief samples or offering to help with certain things because we're all kind of fighting the collective evil together. So any win is a win for all. And I think that's one of the best things about the conference is like bringing those collective wins together and saying, okay, how do we build on it or how do we expand it to more people? It's just a great part of the conference.
And I've been doing a lot more federal litigation in the habeas space. That's where, for the most part, people are unlawfully detained and we're trying to figure out how to release them from custody. We see different challenges there, right? So at first, a lot of people were asking for bond hearings to get people unlawfully detained out of custody. Well, then the immigration court came out with new cases and new policies to render people mandatorily detainable. Well, now I've been more successful, but every person's being released with an ankle monitor when they should not be. We start to put those provisions into our briefing. So then other practitioners are like, oh, that's great. I didn't realize I could have my client released without the ankle monitor. I didn't realize that I could ask for the return of their work permits and that it would be far less stress for my client than applying for a new one or then thereafter themselves engaging in advocacy. But you would not understand that without benefiting from your colleagues.
Yeah, the influx of information right now is just insanity. You want to make sure you're staying on top of those trends, and by like creating these groups, right, it's impossible to keep track of every single change that's happening. But if you have a group of people to bounce things off of, like Emily's got it in the habeas space and the removal space, I have it more in like the family and the business space, then we get together and can kind of share how those different areas are seeing changes, and then there's inevitably overlap with both of them. So then you're getting more knowledge than you had if you were just trying to keep track of it all on your own.
Last year, there's this barrage of changes of information. This time, there's, okay, we are in it together. Who gathered what information and how can we make this a team effort, even if we don't really know each other? Everyone is here because they want the best for immigrant justice in the community. And so it's not a predatory, oh, I need this client or that client. It's a space where we can really take away how to benefit each other and even maybe advocate for other changes. You know, Megan is involved in some advocacy with USCIS. We have new policy memos. It's very hard to give feedback, but as a voice, as AILA, especially AILA National, you know, you might be able to reach someone that could benefit in a more broad space.
Even if we can't make changes right now with the agency themselves, we're kind of planning for when we can. We're finding other ways where we can help get changes done that would help everyone as a whole, from a practitioner standpoint, from a community standpoint. And we know that there are groups out there that are trying to support or find ways to support. So we're kind of putting together as many resources that we can and future looking, right? Like if things change, what do we want in place or ready to go so that we can undo as much of the damage as quickly as possible?
The best way to predict change is to change it, right? Right. And that is the ask from Congress when we went to visit them in April. They're saying, well, if we can pass a bill, what is the top priority? They don't know.
They absolutely do not know.
They don't.
And they need to know.
What does the public want? What does the agency need? What do the practitioners know? How is this affecting long term? Because you can change something, but the ramifications of it, intentional or unintentional, you need experts to be able to advise on that.
So great we have the one National Day of Action, but our local SoCal chapter has been doing more in-district advocacy work where we're doing these quarterly meetings with our local congressional offices. And people have always gone to congressional offices for case assistance when things are taking too long, but I think now more than ever, these local offices and their caseworkers are getting so many inquiries with help in areas that they had never really had to look at before. And so we're creating really great relationships with our local congressional offices and helping them figure out, okay, here are the issues you're seeing. This is why you're seeing them. Here's how you can kind of prepare for it better, or resources to give to your constituents. And creating those relationships gives us a voice when there are opportunities for their legislative directors to then propose new ideas, and they have more background knowledge on the areas that need to be fixed, and then we can kind of provide more input to see, okay, how from a practitioner standpoint, from a law perspective, can we make sure that this gets fixed in a systemic way.
AILA helps not only spark these ideas at the national and local conferences, we start to have these conversations, we align, and then we can do something even bigger and better.
I feel like this is the first time where it feels more like we're in the trenches together with our members of Congress. Like they want to get there, they want to get dirty, they want to make sure that they are on the ground seeing how everything works and how they can change it.